SWVUTSRQP. Hope you don't think I sound silly. ONMLKJ not Wells. FEDCBA. What you talking about, lady? Meaning of life.
My name's not Brian.
So, you know, of course it is something we think about and that. And it depends on, you know, what is real, what is actual. Because I haven't got a fucking clue, you know. We're taught, you know, it's the strong physics of the universe. 1 + 1 = 2. And if you drop something, it will fall and hit the ground. If you're an atheist, of course. Then you've got the theists who believe, the monotheists, and they've got this terrible picture of the universe, which if you break down, you realise that it's a shitty fucking religion that comes out of the Middle East, where quite frankly they're fucking shitty people, and you know, some abstract cult decided to amalgamate, to merge all of the ancient multiple polytheistic deities into one and create Judaism. From Judaism, it splintered, you get Christianity. Now a faction broke off and you got Islam, and then all those three have got their own splinter groups, and it's all rather chaotic and horrible, patriarchal, and not really conducive to a good society. You know, the Jews have got a lot to be blamed for, because if they had opened their arms to everyone and said, let's all be part of this wonderful thing, then it'd been more inclusive, then you wouldn't have had the you know, the us and them kind of thing, and them, you know, them feeling that they are the God's chosen people, the God-given right, they've got the better DNA. Anyone who's not Jewish is subhuman. They just go around and do whatever they want in the name of God. It's, you know, despicable. And because of them, we do have the rise of Islam. So you got the Jews on one hand, who want all other humans to be their slaves. You got Islam, that want the whole world to be an Islamic state, and if you don't do it, they cut your head off. And you got the stupid Christians, which have basically thought their way out of theology into atheism, in my opinion. And it's one small minority of people that had such an influence for the whole planet for all of history. Well, they've never heard of this monotheism prior to, and they've had their own quite wonderful polytheism, you know, where they respected nature, they're in harmony with nature. They weren't out of nature like the monotheists. You know, they're all part of a wonderful creation of the universe. You know, I've not really done any theology, so but it seems to me that the older spiritualistic, polytheistic religions were, you know, they consider themselves to be part of the entire universe system, which is actually what we are. But going to what I said at the beginning about, you know, atheist physics and all that, you know, is magic real? You know, is there the power of thought? You know, spells and witchery and alternate realities and side-by-side realities, and be able to change realities and slip between alternate universes. I don't know. I don't know. Then you got the it's reasonably new concept to me of NPCs, non-playing characters, and playing characters. And if you think about some of the Hindu religions and stuff, and how it's all a recycled life, and you keep staying here until you reach some kind of perfection, maybe, and the Buddhism, and the ways of the enlightenment. You stay on it until you're enlightened. And you go back to NPC. Some people are here and they're just part of the surroundings. They're not actually in the game, as it were. And only some people are not NPCs. They're playing characters in the game. You know, I don't think I'm an NPC. I think that I am an autonomous individual. And I look at my parents, and they are thick as fucking porridge, and they're so dull, and I can't talk to them about anything. It's just blanket anything that's out of their normal belief system. They just are unable to compute or even talk about it. You can't negotiate with them on anything that isn't in their normalised narrative. It's fucking ridiculous. And I think to myself, my God, my parents are NPCs. And who do I meet who isn't an NPC? Well, you are one of those few people who are, recognised as being someone who's capable of independent thought and who strives to know. And then go back to what you're saying about, what is the meaning of life? You don't just strive to know, you strive to care, you strive to be good, you strive to be a decent person. Now, I'm sure you know, I've been a fucking idiot all my life, until recently, now that I'm in my early 50s. The first 50 years of childhood being the longest. I've been silly and stupid, but I've not what we call spiteful, harmful, destructive, malignant. I'm not a horrible person. In fact, I can think back through my life where I've done good things because I wanted to do something that was good and kind for no other reason than it was not the right thing to do, as in helping people. There's so many instances where I've put myself in a more awkward situation so I could give assistance. I've also done some cruel, spiteful things, but they have been where I've been depressed and alcohol charged and in a consistently fucking maintained situation of bad harmonious characters coming together, which at the time I couldn't see the bigger picture, and I didn't even know I was wrong, and I say to myself, well, I'm not wrong, but I've looked back now and I can see that I was wrong, but I didn't have the wherewithal to stop being a fucking dick. And I have gone back to those people and apologised very explicably where and what I feel I did wrong, and I'm given my full fucking remorse. I've also pointed out that it takes two to fucking tango, but I forgive them, and more importantly I forgive myself for being such a cretin. So the meaning of life. Dear. Well, is this world I'm in right now, I don't even know if you're in the same world. We could be talking cross-dimensionally. The world I'm in is pretty fucking appalling. It's diabolical. This is hell on earth. And I want to make it a better place. But the thing is, though, what can I do? Why do I bother? Well, pain hurts, suffering hurts, and we could live. Basically, we've got the potential to live in paradise. Every human could be living to their full potential, excelling, and where their personal brain and personality takes them. We could have exceptional musicians and music instrument makers and performers and orchestrators and conductors, because, you know, that's where their talent lies. Or we can have engineers or playwrights or performers, you know, actors and ballet dancers and people who design things and engineers and people who study the oceans and biology and chemistry and the microphysics, and we could really understand the environment we're in and create a beautiful, lovely planet, garden planet Earth. You know, and we could extend that out to Mars on the moon. We could make things good. I'm not saying make things bad. And then again, why bother? Because if we don't, this planet will end up like Mars or the moon, just fucking dead with nothing on it. And what a shocking waste that would be. You know, if we're to believe that humans are the epitome of evolution so far, only been around 200,000 years as compared to 3.5 billion years of life on Earth. We've managed to get lucky by sheer chance to get this way, to perceive the universe, to perceive ourselves, and be able to do such wonderful things. Why chuck it all away now? Just because our brains have evolved in a haphazard bolt-on style. What am I trying to say here? Where I'm going. You know, everything's, all of our brains and our bodies are a modification on the last one. So it's not a clean update, and we're still quite got primate minds. And if you look at the way primates behave, they're pretty horrific to each other. You know, the chimpanzees and the baboons particularly stand out straight away of being quite diabolic. But not all primates are diabolic. You know, you've got two types of primates. You can divide them into two types. You've got the tournament species, where you have the alpha male and alpha female. And the alpha male goes round and breeds with every female that he can get a hold of. And the alpha females, you know, they seek him too, I suppose, because he's going to give them the best genes, the best offspring, who can make more of themselves. And you know, that social structure, that hierarchy, I'm sure you know, it ends in tears for everyone basically. You know, it's not a nice environment. Then you've got pair bonding species, where so the tournament species, the males are way bigger than the females, way stronger. You know, and they bully their way into dominance. And in the pair bonding species, physically, the male and female are about the same sort of size, and they partner for life in the main, and the pair of them take care of the children, so much so they're quite likely to have twins, because the female can afford to have twins because they're gonna be looked after. So you've got two very distinct types of primate, and what are humans? Neither really, but we've got the capacity to be both. And unfortunately in this world, it does seem that if you are mentally or physically or both a bully, you can get what you want, because the people who want the power seek it, and they go out and take it, and they just do what they want with free reign. You know, they used to do it undisguised, the kings and the rulers, the sultans, whatever. And now it's more cloaked, because they know that they could get lynched. You know, there have been revolutions where their power doesn't always last forever. So now they can hide behind their money. And still, look at the state of the world. It is very sick, very ill. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. The only thing that's getting better is our ability to be cruel to each other based on the technology we've got. And it's in contrast to the people who can do good, who do wonderful things. You look at the people that have created, you know, wildlife reservations and done things to protect the oceans, protect animals, protect the people, but they're always in battle with the people who want to make more fucking money. And I guess that's the crux of the problem, really. All the while humans use a money-based economy and we trade, we are going to be at war with each other because people use it to facilitate, their own gain. The only way we're going to stop being so fucking awful to each other is when we start giving to each other and organising ourselves in a completely different way. And let's face it, the whole of this organisation is, of the Western world, and now most of the world, is based on the Renaissance, when they found all the files from the ancients, the Greeks 2,500 years ago, on their democracy and on their ways of life. They found out the way they lived, and they reincarnated it. And obviously it didn't fucking work then, so why the fuck is it going to work now? And even if it worked then, why would it work now? Because the world is a completely different place. We need to completely wipe the slate and think about how we can organise ourselves better. And if a good person was in the power of the these rich lunatics, the Muskites, whoever they are, Microsoft, whatever, what would you do? What would I do? Well, I'd buy us out of the monetary system. I'd get a bit of land somewhere where it's almost uninhabitable that no one wanted, and then build it from the ground up with the infrastructure in such a way that money is not needed in any sense whatsoever, and physically from the middle outward is organised so there's health, medical, education, power, all the basic necessities are incorporated into a self-sustained infrastructure that people were born into, that were completely included and safe in such a emotionally nurturing environment. They never knew hatred or negative emotions from people, but were solid in their knowledge that they were guardians of the planet, guardians of the race, guardians of fucking life and knowledge, if you like. And then the rest of the world would see how this was operating, go, fucking hell, we need to be like that. And it would be like the positive virus, or viral in the way that it would be replicated and cloned across the world, and everywhere it was, it would be able to manage that particular micro environment or a macro environment, that area, that because all the viruses are different. It would be looking after where it was, and so holistically the whole planet would be harmonised in as much as we would all be taking care of God and planet Earth. And we could walk round the planet from university city to university city, sharing our individual language, culture, knowledge, and it's been bloody nice to each other, sharing our genes, and working towards spreading out into our galaxy and maybe even the greater universe, and maybe even to the multiverses. So I think the meaning of life is whatever an individual makes of it, but any individual who's got any kind of grasp of what it means to have a heartbeat and a brain would want to give the generations after us an advantage, make things so that so it's not just a complete waste. It seems that we got to be human so randomly that what a terrible shame just for life on Earth to be reduced to cockroaches, microbes, and not even rats, for heaven's sake, because they'll probably die. What was I going to add further to that? I don't know, something about aiming for the stars, meeting other life forms. Yeah, and you know, what wonderful things are ahead of us when we behave properly. You know, we're going to be able to clone ourselves, extend our life, become immortal. We're going to create artificial fucking autonomous life, you know. Okay, so it will be created, but it will be completely self-aware, autonomous, and able to do what it wants to do. You know, and and also we're probably about to incorporate ourselves into that technology with hybrid human AI. And when I say AI, I don't mean the intelligent machines that are just, you know, pretty good, but not sentient. We're gonna have sentient man-made machines that will be able to make better versions of themselves. And then, you know, because it's electronic and digital, we might be able to scan our own brains into that and have a hybrid. You know, what wonderful merging of the human and electronic mind. And then, you know, then when we are truly immortal, wow, you know, time will be irrelevant, and we really can travel the stars. And it won't matter how long we take. We can really know stuff. I'm so envious of the future. I do not want to die. I want to see out. Oh, well, that's what I was going to say. The final destination is entropy, when all the energy is run out. Well, I think our mission, oh yeah, the meaning of life is to escape entropy. How about that? We got her in the end. Lovely jubbly. Right, got